Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 13, Episode 5. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Glad you guys are back with us here for this Friday show. Dave, football is officially back. The Hall of Fame game played last night between the Raiders and the Jaguars. And so Steelers not too far away from playing their first preseason game. Got Friday night lights tonight. Got a lot of contract stuff to talk about. I bet you're on cloud nine right now.
Yeah, it's boy, I was worn out yesterday. It was all coming from all different angles, and obviously it's tough when we don't have you in today because you're out there at Latrobe doing that work out there, and but we do have a lot to talk about. And the 8th, this would be the 9th practice, right, of training camp. On Friday Night Lights, the annual Friday. Boy, that place ought to be hopping out there later tonight. And I guess that puts us the official halfway mark of training camp practices as well. And you know, as you kind of hinted in there, man, we got a new contract to talk about today.
We do. You really, well, let's just state the facts here, and maybe you should handle the numbers more than I, because I was in the car when this was all happening. I was trying to figure out what was going on, but a 2-year extension for wide receiver Diontae Johnson. I'll let you kind of explain some of the structure here to get all the numbers there, completely accurate. But I know I was becoming more optimistic about a deal happening. I certainly did not think it was going to happen this soon. I thought this would be, and I think I said as much, a September thing late in the process, deadlines for actions that it took TJ Watt down on the wire for that deal to get done. But already through this offseason, you've had Minkah Fitzpatrick, Chris Boswell, and Diontae Johnson sign extensions with the Steelers. So really pleasant news there.
Absolutely. And it is, people get into the semantics of is this a new 3-year deal or is it a 2-year extension? Well, when you consider his old money as part of this, it's technically, in my view, and I think some of the how the major media reporters reported, it's a 2-year extension. Okay. But it is 3 years in total, which means this his deal now runs through the 2024 season. Let's get some of the specifics out of the way here first. It is being reported as a $36.71 million extension. That's the new money amount of money. Now, when you look at the old money, that doesn't go away. It has to be part of this. Diontae was scheduled to earn $2.94118. A little hair over $2.95 million in 2022 when you factor in that 17th game check that would have come into play, with this contract, with the whole CBA and those kind of things. Obviously, he had qualified for the proven performance escalator, and that's what increased his salary this offseason. There was still a 17th game check that needed to be factored into that. So the whole kit and caboodle from 2024 through 2022 through 2024, the total of everything together should be $39,664,118 altogether there. Now, it is being reported that $19 million of this money is the year zero, as the cool kids say nowadays, or 2022 money, if we want to be specific there. Supposedly, that is made up of a $17.5 million signing bonus and a $1.5 million base salary. it's being reported that 27 million of the deal is guaranteed. Obviously 19 million of that we just covered with the signing bonus and the base salary. So what about the other 8 million there? Well, there was a report late last night, and we'll find out for sure as soon as this thing hits the NFLPA in a couple of days. But Jerry Dulac reported last night, the same Jerry Dulac that said miles.
Go ahead.
Miles apart. That basically probably Jerry insinuated all along that this deal was not going to get done, and it was miles apart, and nearly 24 hours, I think, after he put that out there, the deal's done. But the same Jerry Dulac that reported that is reporting that the $8 million, which is the I think I'm pretty sure is the 2023 money, is guaranteed for injury only. Okay. That does jive with what Chris Boswell just signed, and we've talked several times how it probably would be a bit surprised in the first 2 years of a deal with Diontae, if one did get done, would be fully guaranteed. We'll find out pretty sure, but it does make sense that only 19 of that 27 million is fully guaranteed, with the 8 million in 2023 being guaranteed for injury only. Now we'll have to see where the extra game check from how they factored in the extra game check that he was due of the old money there. And you're not talking a lot, about a whole heck of a lot of money there, but it's 164,118. With Minka's deal, they put that extra game check in 2022 as a roster bonus. I don't know yet where that money's going. Over the Cap seems to think that it's probably going to go in the final year base salary of the deal. Man, if they got him to scrape off that to delay that 164,118 until the final year of the deal, that's pretty damn brutal when you look at all this. So we'll wait and see how that plays out there. The new money average essentially of this deal seems to be coming in at $18.355 million. That's obviously a little lower than the expected, what I was thinking, 20 to 21 million new money average. And on top of it, that should rank him 17th overall on the new money rankings of wide receivers, after obviously probably hoping to barely crack the top 10, right behind Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders. Now, his cap charge in 2022, his new cap charge, depending on how they handle that 17th game check, should be somewhere between 7.616 and some change and 7.732 and some change, right around in there. So the all important where that 164,118 got put in this deal will make a difference in the yearly cap charges and and everything along that. Now, as I wrote and I said, immediately after. First and foremost, let me throw it back to you. What do you think about the overall deal as explained?
Surprising. I think it's a really good deal for Pittsburgh. They were terms that I didn't anticipate happening. I guess the idea broadly is Diontae takes maybe a little less money overall, doesn't join that $20 million per year kind of club in exchange for a shorter contract to get that extra bite at the apple here in a couple of years. That's kind of my overall thought. The first thing I thought of was, even if you didn't want to sign Diontae to a long-term deal, and certainly there was a large and vocal faction of fans who said that, I think even those people are not unhappy about this contract. They're pretty happy with the terms overall. It is not, the massive money that McLaurin or Debo or DK Metcalf, etc., received. So I think Omar Khan did a heck of a job here. Again, surprised by the fact it's getting done early, but I can appreciate a man like Khan who just earlier this week said, we want Diontae here. We want him to stay, gets the deal done, and gets it done quickly. He is not messing around when it comes to these contracts to get all these guys signed here. Well, still 6 weeks out from the start of the regular season. You got Minka, you got Boz, you got Diontae. That is certainly a shift from what the Kevin Colbert model was, and I think it's a welcome one overall.
Well, you and I last 2 weeks came to the agreement, or both agreed that if they could get him signed to a deal with a new money average of 20 to 21 million and keep the guaranteed money, keep the fully guaranteed money in year zero of the deal, we would more than be on board for signing him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the number, obviously comes in of the new money average under 20 million, under 19 million.
How surprised are you by that? I am so surprised by that.
I was, but we're going to go over why it probably happened that way next here. But I really, really thought that the low point of this was going to be 20, whatever it would have taken for him to get over the 20 million, but right there above, let's see, it would have put him, I thought it was going to have to be above DJ Moore, which was 20.628 million new money average. Because we as we talked, man, we saw Chris Godwin get 20 million, Amari Cooper 20 million, Mike Williams 20 million, DJ Moore 20.628. Obviously, the jump happened from Moore to McLaren because you go from 20.628 to 23.2 million with Terry McLaurin. So that's why I had 20.7 to 21 million new money average in my head. At a minimum, I thought, man, no way this deal comes in under a 20 million dollar. If I wanted to give some in what I thought it would take to get this done, I would have said no way under 20 million. So the fact that, and look, new money average isn't everything cash flow and guaranteed is, but it is still part of what we highly talk about this. So for this deal to come in at 18.355 million new money average, I mean, I don't see how anybody, unless you just don't like Diontae, and I know there are those people out there, the drops. All right, well, consider this a drop discount.
Sure.
How
does this compare to Christian Kirk's deal? Who got more? Did Kirk or Diontae? It's close.
Well, I mean, it's slightly ahead of Kirk as far as new money average goes, but Christian Kirk got 37 million fully guaranteed, and once again, we'll have to see if that 8 million of Diontae's in the second year is fully guaranteed or just injury guaranteed. I mean, we could be talking about a Diontae deal that only has 19 million fully guaranteed in it.
Wow. And did you see any scenario? I guess that was less surprising than maybe the overall average yearly value number to you. Is that fair?
Well, as part of, let's say, a $21 million new money average, okay, I figured it would take around 26 to 27 million in year zero, first year.
Right. Not injury guarantee.
Right. Fully guaranteed.
So it came in well under that.
Oh,
well,
yeah. I mean, especially if you're looking at, it didn't come in at 20, at 21 million. Right. So obviously the guaranteed money in year zero is going to be a little bit less there. But I mean, when you're looking at, and we'll know for sure in a couple of days here, I mean, it might be flat out 19 million fully guaranteed with, the extra 8 million of the 27 million just being guaranteed for injury only. So I don't see how anybody, unless they just don't like the kid flat out, doesn't like this deal. All right.
So explain how this became as team friendly as it does. What was the motivation for Johnson to do this?
Well, remember a couple times throughout this process, we said brandishing that franchise tag sword.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at this thing now. I am fully convinced that when what's his agent's name, Brad Casella or something like that, when he was at camp the other day, the same day I think Omar talked. I have a feeling maybe they rode over to Pittsburgh to the south side over there. So Omar Khan could show him his franchise tag sword.
Keeps that in a nice case.
Yeah, glass and all. You have to have somebody with white gloves remove the glass from the top there, and you have to put gloves on before you handle it and all. And I envision them all walking in the office there, and the light shining down on it, and Omar Khan picking it up, and it just being this massive sword that has franchise tag engraved on the nice shiny blade there, and him saying, "You see this?" Because
you've thought about this a lot. You've played this whole scenario out.
Yeah. Well, see, I used to, old metalhead, pothead, and I'll play D&D, and so you have to kind of be real.
Oh, you were a D&D player.
Oh yeah, man. I
the metalhead D&D player.
Oh yeah, I had my hands in everything. Yeah, the closer I could get to Satan, the better.
Is D&D close to Satan?
No, it's believed to be.
Is it really?
Oh, back then, yeah.
Okay. That was just like 90s moral panic stuff.
A Roman Catholic kid in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, listening to Black Sabbath and playing D&D. Oh Lord, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have the priest over to the house a little bit more with me.
You took a heck of a journey to talk about Diontae Johnson, Cap.
Yeah,
your life arc went from metal, pothead, D&D to breaking down the injury guarantee in Diontae Johnson. That is a heck of an arc.
Well, look, I got to keep my mind busy now, right? Because, of course, idle hands are tools of the devil.
All full circle. Well done.
There you go. That's the way I kind of envision this happening. We talked about how a couple of times how maybe the franchise tag might be played. Now people will say, all right, okay, that's fine, Dave, but why didn't the other teams, the Commanders
sword,
and Deebo Samuel? I don't have a great answer for that. I don't, maybe it was just flat out that the players and their reps weren't scared of it.
It seemed like, obviously Debo was more willing to ask for a trade, and Decap was skipping more stuff. So I think maybe they were taking a harder line stance in search of a deal. That maybe that played a factor. Right.
And, those guys are obviously considered, a little bit better wide receivers overall than Dante. We had that Diontae. We had that talk couple of weeks ago about, man, if you stopped 100, NFL fans on the street, how many of them would put Diontae in, let's say, the top 15 wide receivers, and makes you wonder how many would put McLaren or Deebo Samuel and that kind of thing. So I don't have a good answer of why teams maybe don't use the franchise tag. Now, look, Kevin Colbert, we've heard Kevin Colbert in the past say, we decide when the player leaves. And in so many terms, talk about the use of the franchise tag. We haven't decided, we'll decide what's best for yada, yada. And we have seen situations, obviously, with Le'Veon Bell and other players throughout the year, the use of the franchise tag. Teams and agents and players know that the Steelers are not afraid to use it. And long story short, let me walk you the way I think that this thing went here.
Okay.
Let's imagine, because we don't know what the franchise tag number is going to be in 2023 yet. Right. There are projections that are obviously close and will be close, but we don't have an exact number here. I'm sure Omar and them probably have a lot more closer approximation.
Do you have a ballpark? Or would it be?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
Let's assume that the franchise tag in 2023 for a wide receiver would have been or will be $20 million.
Okay.
And then a back-to-back, let's say you have to back-to-back tag a player. We know the whole 120% rule, right? It's 120% of the previous number if you go back-to-back tags. So off of 20 million, then the tag in 2024 would have been 24 million. All right. So you have 20 million, 24 million, that's 44 million. And then obviously he would have had to play out this year's deal to even get to that point. Had he not signed a deal, that would have been another 2.954118 million there. So had Diontae played out this year, received back-to-back franchise tags in 2023 and 24, and there's obviously no guarantee that that would have happened. But had he done that, the total take for him would have been 46,954 118 million. So almost 47 million had he gone the process of playing out this year, gotten the tag in 2023, and then gotten the tag again in 2024. So that's the max that he could have earned taking that route.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure that Omar Khan kind of spelled that out to his agent and all like that. Now, when you let's look at what, and as we recapped earlier, the total take of this deal is 39,664,118. That's signed, sealed, and delivered now. So you can look at this as Diontae's side. The Steelers basically giving Diontae's side an opportunity to buy back-to-back tags, and then obviously the cash flow increases in year zero of the deal versus him only making nearly $3 million this year. So the way I think that this should be looked at is Diontae Johnson's side bought tags in 2023, 2024 for essentially a $7.29 million price tag.
Okay. Yeah,
but he does not have to wait to get some of that money because obviously he's getting 19 million now versus where he would have had to wait on back-to-back tags. His first tag wouldn't have come until next year, and that would have been 20 million. So it's almost like getting next year's tag money now.
Right.
And,
so that's incentive.
Right. So there's the incentive there of, look, we can slow play this if you guys want, and then you better hope Diontae doesn't have a down season or get hurt, or look behind what's door number.
Here's that sword at the top.
Behind door number 1, we have $19 million up front for you now, or you can wait and get 20. Because let's face it, 20 million next year plus the 3 million, close to 3 million. I mean, it's 23 million over the next 2 years, or you can have 27 million over the next 2 years.
Right. And I wonder if there's a consideration in Johnson's camp too. There's an uncertain quarterback situation, a team that will probably be attempting to run the ball more than they have the last couple of years. That may impact just overall numbers some. And so let's take this deal now, make sure we don't, have a chance of hurting our value as we near, the actual free agency time. And then just in a couple of years, you'll still be young, still be in your prime and able to try to hit the market again.
And look, and he said it during his, bless his heart, man, I think he's handled everything great, to be honest with you.
Excellent. Yeah, he's done a great job.
I really think he has handled this whole process great. And I think what he said during his press conference yesterday afternoon was absolutely fantastic. So people giving this kid hell all along, I don't understand it. I guess it's all because of the drops, right?
I guess, but like they weren't bad last year. I'm not going to get back into all that, but he's done a great job.
I mean, you look at this guy on social media, he's always working with that route god. I mean, and I'm talking about going back the last several off seasons here. This kid's always working. He doesn't cause any problems in the locker room, it doesn't seem like, or anything like that. But what was the question that you asked about him? Oh, about yesterday in his press conference saying, I think he knows the grass is not greener. I think he has seen it firsthand. The grass is not greener and how things have worked out. And I think, he has an understanding in his agent too, that even though this thing isn't fully guaranteed, the Steelers have a long history of paying this stuff out. Mm-hmm. Right. And they are giving him them agreeing to a shorter deal on top of it gives Diontae a chance over the next 3 seasons to get himself in a position where he can take up maybe one more sizable bite of the apple, if you will, there. So, but then again, you got to look at this on the Steelers' standpoint there. They had every right to kind of wield that big bad franchise tag sword of theirs, not giving a crap about what the wide receiver market was, that it happened. It's not their fault. Mm-hmm. It exploded there. And this is still a deal that gets Diontae inside the top 20. And it gives him money now, and it gets him back on the field. More importantly, it gets him back on the field right away.
Right. And that's the other part, too. It's easy for us to say, in theory, we'll just wait, go through the year, make them use the tag, or then get your deal. But if you're, number one receiver like Diontae is in this offense making, 2.9 he was scheduled to make this year in base salary? I mean, that's a game check. What's that game check of? 2.9 divided by, 18, I guess?
You divide it by 7. What you do is
17?
You take that and you divide it by the what he was scheduled to make off of the original base salary, which was what, 2. Hold on a minute here. It was you'd swear this. I'm Omar Khan in here looking at some of these spreadsheets that I have.
I bet. I think it's more spreadsheets than Omar has.
Where is he here on here?
I just wasn't sure if it was over 17 or 18 if they got paid during the bye week or not. I wasn't sure on that.
Let's see. 2.79 million. So you take that, divide it by 17, and then that's your extra game check, right?
They don't get paid during the bye week? They don't get a check for their bye week?
Well, I mean, it's hold on here.
Because it's over an 18-week season. Math. I'm not. I genuinely don't know. I'd always thought about it.
There is the extra. The extra check is figured off of 17 games.
Okay, so just 2 point.
Right, because there's an extra game.
All right, so 2.7 divided by 17 is 164,000 in change pre-tax, by the way. So
right.
I don't know what that is, post-tax. And again, for most people, that's a ton of money. Obviously, no one's playing a sad song for Diontae Johnson, but when your number one receiver putting up the numbers he's putting up, that number looks pretty light and knowing what he could get. So, there's an emotional incentive, and I mean that in a positive way, to want to get paid now and have that number go way up this year.
Right. Look, you never know what could happen, and right. That's why he was holding in, because you get hurt during the practice, tear your knee up. You think you're going to get the deal then, Right. And I do believe the aspect that this was, I think and I think Diontae said as much. I think this was a deal that's been on the table for probably a little while now.
Is that what he said?
In so many words, he said, "This is the deal." Let me pull up.
Yeah, because I missed the presser. I haven't gone back. I've just read some of the quotes. I hadn't listened to the whole 7.5 minute conversation that he had after signing the contract.
Let me find out where
I do know he said, while you looked that up, that he said he would have held in throughout the regular season,
right.
or until a regular season. So I mean, there's a consideration. I don't know if he actually would have or not, but that's what he said.
Let's see. Where was there any point where you thought this wouldn't get done? When did this all come together? He said, I thought about the deal last night. I've been ready to get back out there. It was kind of boring sitting back watching everyone practice every day. I was just trying to protect myself, making sure I got the right number I was looking for. Where was the next part? Ready to get back out? Did you prepare? Did you prepare to hold out all of camp? And this contract didn't get done. Would you have waited all? Yes, he would have waited. Continue to work. Well, where's the? Oh, okay, so did they make another offer to you, or was this the only offer on the table? The offer they gave me, they stuck with. I'm happy and ready to play.
All right, so it sounds like Pittsburgh made one offer, they left it out there, and then eventually Diontae and his camp said, okay, we'll take it.
Right. It seems like a take it or leave it, and it probably got halfway through, when you're getting close to this halfway through the camp, and then obviously his agent we know that his agent was in Latrobe a couple of days ago there. It probably got to the point where I don't know, maybe Omar squeezed it a little bit there and said, look, here it is. We got to know if you're going to take this or not now, because we either need to get him on the field or we need to find out another route here, because it sounds like you're willing to hold out until you get something done. And we're here to tell you, here it is. And we've told you why, because we brandished the franchise tag sword here. Do you want it or don't you want it? And Diontae's probably ready to get back out there too.
Sure. Oh yeah, he's a hard worker. He wants to be out there for sure. It probably was not fun for him, kind of standing on the sidelines. So I think Omar said, "Here's our deal." A week went by. Omar said, "Our deal has not changed. It will not change. You can accept it now in September and miss more time and kind of be behind the eight ball, or take it now and get back up to speed here quickly, so you're good to go for week one. What do you want to do?" And it sounds like Diontae and his camp said, "Let's do it now."
Right. So that's kind of my vision of how this all came together. Look, and props to Mike Garofalo, because the day previous on, he said, and this is after Jerry Dulac wrote that the two sides aren't close.
Chances were slim, he said.
Yeah,
to get it
chances are slim. Yada yada. I mean, just hours after that, Mike Garofalo said, I think this deal gets done by week one. And I think it might be even a shorter amount. And then, they had the other wide receivers they were talking about, Metcalf and Debo and forget who else in there. But, A.J. Brown. And he said it might even be shorter than that. And lo and behold, not even 24 hours after he went on the air with that. So he's got a pretty good connection, I think, probably with Diontae's side there. But anyway, signed, sealed, and delivered, and now we move forward. So good job by the Steelers front office to get that done. And I don't see how anybody doesn't like that deal. If you're a Steelers fan, unless you just flat out hate Diontae Johnson.
Right. If you don't like this deal, you don't like Diontae Johnson. That's kind of the bottom line there. And kudos to Omar Khan, man. He is just crushing it. I mean, not that these things were necessarily unexpected. You knew Mika would get done. You knew Boz would get done. Diontae certainly was the question mark, but getting them done early, good contracts on all three of those guys. I mean, Omar Khan just going to work here to start his GM tenure.
Yeah, and I don't want to steal this kid's thunder in the questions here, but it's probably a good time to go ahead and address one of these questions we got here ahead of this, because it is related. He says, "Hey, David, I've been a huge fan of rest of the SD crew for 3 seasons now. Love all the work you guys do and the content you guys put out there. I also love when you guys stick it to the beat reporters as well. I don't know about you guys, but I really love that Khan is getting all these deals done so quickly. I believe, like when Colbert was the GM, it took a long time for deals to get done." He says, "Diontae, I think, might be a good example." He goes on to say, "I feel like Colbert was the GM. Those contract negotiations would have lasted all of training camp." He says, "However, Khan got the deal done quickly and got Diontae on the field quickly to build some chemistry with the new quarterbacks. Do you guys think we can expect this from Khan moving forward?" Thank you guys for everything you and all you do. And that's from Anthony there. So the meat of the question there, Alex, is, and it kind of led into what you were just talking about there. Do you guys think, I have a view of this, but I'm going to let you go first here. Do you guys think we can expect this from Khan moving forward?
I would say generally yes, but all negotiations are not created equal, and there's going to be stickier ones, and it takes two to tango. So Khan may be willing to work a deal, but the other side is really firm in what they want, and a deal may not happen or may take a long time to occur. So it's not like Khan has this magic wand he can wave and determine exactly when deals get done. So I think generally speaking, it sounds like they're talking earlier, they're more aggressive with their deals, they're able to close sooner, but you can't always assume that will be everything that happens the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years, because every deal is different.
The short answer to Anthony's question from me would be, I don't know, because we're dealing with just a 1-year sample size here. However, one key thing that we have learned over the last couple of years, and Omar Khan hit on the other day during his press conference, is the whole thing about this hold-in thing now. This hold-in thing is a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And this hold-in thing, players are starting to see results with it. And even Omar Khan said, I don't think it's going away.
It's not going away.
Right. So if it's not going away, and if this hold-in thing is now a thing, and there's no reason to think that it won't be, then it's going to have to take deals getting done earlier in the process to get some of these, to get these players back on the field. So because of that, then my answer to Anthony asking, do you guys think we can expect this from Khan moving forward? Obviously you might run into some obstacles where somebody's just shooting for the moon, there, but I would say, yes, I think this is the new way of things, of timelines of how things could work in Pittsburgh with the guys that are due the bigger contract extensions here. Look, they're not going to just let Joe Blow come in there and just camp hold in, who's not being talked about in common sense circles of being able to get a deal.
Right. I know it's 1 year, but I care about the number of players, and there's 3 of them, 3 big ones. Minka, Boz, and Diontae all getting done this early. I think that's a good trend of where things are going.
Now, will we see something like as early as Minka? I don't know. We're just going to have to sit back and watch. But I mean, it was pretty black and white with Minka right from the go. We knew what his 5th-year option amount was. We knew where he slotted as far as top 1 or 2. We knew there. I can't imagine that one. There was a lot of really negotiation having to take place to get that done, other than the guaranteed money. And T.J. Watt had already cracked the seal off of some of that, last year there. So I would not hope, and I hope for fans' sakes and everything, that this stuff doesn't draw long into training camp and preseasons to get deals done. So my first guess, Anthony, I guess would be, I think we'll start seeing deals get done by the halfway of training camp. How's that for a line in the sand, Alex?
The last thing I would say, though, is not only league-wide, and it's an obvious statement, but hold-ins will continue, especially in Pittsburgh. 4 guys. I mean, Mika was kind of not working in the spring. Watt last year. I mean, okay, Boz didn't hold in, but Diontae, all those guys holding in, or taking that kind of course, or intending to take that course, and then getting a deal done. So the next player, whoever that may be, next summer, who wants a new deal, you just kind of wonder, how far will that trickle down? Will Terrell Edmonds type of player, have a hold in? How low do we kind of lower that bar? Is the question I have. But these things certainly will continue, given the success in Pittsburgh and around the league.
I would like to think it would have to be a player that you're probably talking about around top 15 value at his position.
Right. But
because Diontae came at
says
17,
who though, right?
Right.
But
and he probably, right. I I mean, I think there would be a quick conversation is you're not getting a deal, so you better get out there if you want to compete for a roster spot. Kind of
like there's a Cam Sutton, hypothetically holding, not this year obviously, but there's that kind of caliber of player. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now look, you go kind of wrap it up real quick here on Diontae. I point blank said I didn't know whether or not a deal would get done. People keep saying, this last week saying, Dave, do you think something will get done? And I flat out said, I don't know if it will. And part of the reason was that because I kind of felt at that point it would have to be more on Diontae's side of giving to get something done, and you don't know what someone's willing to give in that situation. So he obviously gave up more on his side there, and to me that's what got the deal done. But there were a lot of reasons to think on both sides of this. One could get done and one couldn't get done, and it got done.
And the last thing I would say is not to be all flowery or try to put Pittsburgh on some sort of unreachable pedestal, but we've seen many players in the past take more team-friendly type of contracts. And I think there's value in who the Steelers are, how they run things, the organizational structure, the stability, the consistency, the known expectations of how things are going to work on a daily and yearly type basis. Mike Tomlin, obviously being that presence. I think there's a lot of value in that the players see. And as Diontae flat out said, the grass is not always greener on the other side. We've seen players leave in the past for chase money, and their careers don't go the way they want it to. And I think, again, Diontae and others are smart enough to realize that Pittsburgh has a good thing going, and I don't want a chance trying to go somewhere else.
I don't want to diminish what you just said, but they did have him inside of a box here, though.
They did. Sure, maybe that's a good way to kind of rationalize things. But also recognize that
it's a nice looking box, and the box has all these amenities surrounding it and all, and good people and all. It's not a bad place to spend time in, but this box he was boxed into.
Sure. But like you said, the other teams had that sword as well. I mean, they could have used it if they wanted to. Seattle on DK.
And I don't know. I don't have a great answer for that. I think that's because Joel Corey obviously knows some of these other GMs and agents and all like that. So that might be a better question. I don't know why more teams don't try to brandish, the franchise tag sword, if you will.
And Diontae, in theory, would have a sword of his own if the tag was used of the "I'm not signing, I'm not playing" sword.
Sure.
If you wanted to go that route. So, I mean, there is something that Diontae could pull if Pittsburgh wanted to try to hold the tag over his head.
Yeah, but when you're wanting to get paid now and then you having to wait.
I know.
That's the temptation to get paid now sure is got to be heavy.
Sure. No, I think it's that, and just knowing what Pittsburgh offers, and obviously being a shorter deal, all played into Diontae ultimately signing the deal.
Sure, and look, make no mistake, these guys know it. You hear them talk about it after they leave too. Grass sitting greener on the other side. Yeah. How many times do we keep hearing that after the fact? I bet Le'Veon Bell even recently said, "If I had to do it, I wish things would have worked out, done different." This, that, and the other. We can learn of humans, of learning from our past.
Sure. We don't probably do that enough as just a very general statement there. So again, I think Diontae, it wasn't just one factor, obviously. It was a combination of everything. The threat of the franchise tag, the stability Pittsburgh brings, the shorter deal, getting paid now, all those combined lent itself to Diontae agreeing to this contract.
Right. And, history with the Steelers, I think we can learn, as humans, when dealing with them, of how things have been handled in the past. So, there is a little bit of precedent there that can also be used as a weapon.
Mm-hmm. Right. For sure. So I'm happy it's done. I think most people are. I've seen very little pushback to the idea. I know had Diontae gotten, McLaurin type of money, there'd be more pushback. But again, I think this is a really good deal for Pittsburgh. It has its ups for Diontae as well. And happy it's done. Happy Diontae's back practicing.
Right. And we spent a lot of time on that, but there's not that too terribly much to talk about. I guess we should now move into things that happen at training camp, kind of a broad brush, and then obviously the health of the team and Minkah Fitzpatrick getting back on the field.
Right. Yeah. Diontae, not the only news of the day yesterday, not the only guy returning to the practice field. Minkah Fitzpatrick off NFI. He did not work in full. He worked in individual, kind of the first half of practice, but he's obviously, basically been cleared medically. Some other guys not practicing due to injury. Najee Harris with the foot, Miles Killebrew with the pec, Chase Claypool shoulder, Pat Freiermuth, Marcus Allen hamstring, Carl Joseph seems to be a personal thing, and Levi Wallace half day with the illness that he's still working through. Freiermuth and Claypool both look very, very close to a return overall. Killebrew's making progress. Najee seems minor, so far, pretty good news on that front.
Okay, and now we'll sit and watch what happens with Cameron Sutton, right?
Right, yeah, that's the big one. Sutton with some sort of lower body, potentially a knee injury. I think he tweaked it in 7 shots. He kind of went through the next couple sessions of practice, at least the 1v1s. He didn't look right, but he did at least work through it. So if it was a super serious injury, I don't think he would have, done what he did after the fact there. But we'll just have to wait and see. He obviously probably will miss some length of time.
Okay, and hopefully, and I think Dr. Mel looked at maybe some video that they think maybe where something happened with Tim Rice, and we don't know if they looked at, obviously nobody knows they looked at the right when it may have happened there, but I think her initial thought was it didn't look like ACL at least, so. I don't know. We'll just keep our fingers crossed. I would doubt you're going to see him out there at Friday Night Lights, right?
Right. I'd be very surprised. Again, I think he'll probably, just speculation, but miss sometime, a couple of days, a week, something like that. But I mean, I don't think it's ACL. I know you can walk on a torn ACL, but this dude was running and still moving. So I don't think it's to that level of seriousness.
All right. What's Tyson Alualu doing?
Did some work on the side. I just happened to catch him working kind of on that middle field at training camp, hitting one of the blocking dummies there, working up a pretty good sweat, although it was extremely humid yesterday. So just standing, existing, kind of worked up a good sweat. But I know there's some concern there, and I get that. This guy has dealt with a lot of lower body injuries the last, 3 years. He's got an MCL tear in 2020, a high ankle sprain in 2020, a fractured ankle in 2021, and now knee swelling to begin this year. I don't know, what the long-term prospects of him could be in terms of playing through a season, but based on what I've seen so far, I think he'll be ready for week 1, barring any sort of setback.
All right. My terrible take a couple, at the start of this thing, I consider myself concerned. How concerned are you about him?
In terms of being ready for week 1, or being able to sustain over the season or play well, or what kind of concern?
Yeah, just can he hold on for all?
I really don't
for the season.
I'll just have to watch him whenever he gets out there. I'll just say this is I think he will return before camp ends, and I think he will be ready for week 1. Where that goes from there, I got to get eyes on him first.
Okay.
But I mean, I was excited about his return. I'm still excited about his potential return, and I'm also heartened to know that Montrevious Adams is having a good camp. And so if Alualu's not available for whatever reason, then there's a better plan B in Adams.
All right. We talked about Diontae. We talked about kind of the health of this team right now, and the big news, obviously, yesterday with Minkah getting off NFI. It sounds like Tyson Alualu hopefully won't be too far behind him. You don't think tonight's the night for Claypool or Freiermuth, do you?
Any day would not surprise me. I don't know if today's going to be the day. It'll be a pretty physical, intense practice. Friday Night Lights usually is, but both those guys are moving. Like, if you didn't know they were injured, you would think they were fine with the way that they're moving around, running and cutting and blocking and stuff like that. So I would say they are very truly could come back any day.
All right. What are you looking for ahead of Friday Night Lights before you head out there?
It's just a really good environment. It should be a really jam-packed crowd. If 15,000 or so fans probably showed up for that first Saturday practice, I can only imagine what Friday Night Lights is going to bring. Typically, there's 10 to 12,000 there. In past years, probably going to be 17,000 plus. I know they reported 17,000 for Saturday. That one Saturday, I think that was how many bought tickets, not necessarily how many people showed up. But Backs on Backers will be taking place tonight. At least it should be, based on the history of it. So it should be really competitive, really intense, and that's always very exciting.
All right, and quarterback battle right now. Kenny Pickett, as we talked about on the recap podcast Thursday night, best practice of training camp for Kenny Pickett. Based on what you were saying, right?
Right. That was my evaluation of it. I know I've been more critical of Kenny Pickett than some people have, but I thought he had his best day by far. Now, was he the best quarterback of yesterday? I don't know. I don't do this daily ranking that often. He was very good, though, I thought, in terms of 2 throws in particular, 7 shots, low red zone corner route to Cody White that was beautifully placed, right on the money for a touchdown. And then there was a play action progression read where he worked right to left to find Anthony Miller for a gain about 10 yards. And so you're seeing really good placement, accuracy, progression, all that pro readiness that was the talk of him and what partially got him to be the first quarterback off the board at number 20 overall. So to me, some really high level reads and throws. The other plays were clean. I'm not even sure if he threw an incompletion yesterday, maybe 1, maybe 2, but very little of that. So he worked well. He worked quicker, getting the ball out of his hand. The reads were better. If he has more days like that, then you're going to get really excited.
All right. You had an article yesterday morning about after 1 week, defensive line decisions aren't any easier for the Steelers.
They are.
React to me.
It's your phrase of the day. I mean, again, we kind of went into this thing saying historically they've only ever kept 6 defensive linemen. They got at least 7. Who's the odd man out? And maybe the answer is there is no odd man out. Okay. I don't know who he would cut. Again, you'll have to kind of see what happens with Alualu and his, injury. And obviously, Ogunjobi's yet to work in team. He's just worked on the side so far, although he had an off day yesterday. So there are some boxes to be checked with that group. But of the guys who are available and healthy and practicing, to me, they're all worthy and worth it. Loudermilk's looked good. Leal's had a nice start to camp. Obviously, you wouldn't cut Leal, no matter what overall. So I don't know who you cut there. Frankly, you're really maybe even 8 deep with Carlos Davis and a 9th man in Henry Mondeau, who's got at least some NFL experience, can play on special teams. So it's a really strong group, and I think you almost have to, as of right now, put 7 defensive linemen on your 53-man roster.
All right, and as we've said, look, this defense has got to be, if this team's going to win some games, it's going to be because this defense holding some people down, especially against the run, and they didn't have that front to be able to do that last year. So hopefully they have, you don't have any injuries and you have a nice selection to kind of choose from and keep a guy like even Carlos Davis back on your practice squad again. But look, that guy's auditioning not only for a 53-man spot, he's auditioning around the league too. So
sure.
If Carlos Davis has a nice training camp and preseason,
you're going to be that guy, Dave. You're going to be will he make it to waivers?
I'm not going to be that guy just yet. We got to get some preseason games going here. And look, there's limited tape on him overall still. He's entering his third. He is almost not as bad, the Anthony McFarland of the defense, right?
Yeah, I think I'd be with you, though, that I think Carlos Davis will have a good summer, good preseason action, and may not be necessarily safe if he plays well to go through waivers unclaimed. So I think Pittsburgh will have some tough decisions there, and Carlos Davis, I think, is maybe worthy of being on a roster somewhere, not someone's practice squad. So I think he'll have the attention of the pro scouts around the league.
All right, as rosy as you are about the defensive line, probably not so much on the offensive line through 8 practices.
Yeah, I would say very broadly speaking, the run blocking's been a lot better than the pass protection. That's been a mess, and sometimes that's new guys and a collective unit playing together, so those things can be maybe more expected overall. I mean, it's been good. The group has largely been healthy. Did Okorafor really get a veteran day off 2 days ago? Is that what Tomlin said?
I don't know.
Someone told me
I don't know if he specifically said that or more insinuated, but I mean, he obviously returned after 1 day, right?
Right. He looked fine. So, I mean, I guess he's kind of the veteran of the offensive line room, but the dude's 25 anyway. But it's been good. They've been healthy and working overall, and I think there's valuable reps to be had there. James Daniels is not looked maybe as good as I hoped and thought he would. Again, I'm looking at maybe basing it off of a dozen or so reps that are kind of in my head right now, watching O-line, D-line, stuff like that. But I know there's a long ways to go there.
All right. Cap people I always want to know, how much cap space do they have? Well, it depends on that extra game check as we talked about with Diontae's deal, but they're right around, depending on that money, 9.24 to 9.407, roughly under the cap right now. So when you look at, we know that they got a 52nd and 53rd roster spot to afford. They've got a practice squad that they have to account for, at least $1 million for elevations throughout the year and all like that. I mean, that's 6.1 right there. That's going to eat into that let's call it 3, because that's an average between the two numbers right now of what they are under. And then obviously, are they going to want another $8 million for in-season injury replacement like they've had the last couple of off seasons here? I guess what I'm getting at here is we're in that neighborhood right now of, they might have to restructure somebody's contract here. Now, we're right at that kind of breaking point. I say that because when you look at the current rule of 51, the players right there in the top 51, there are some questions about some guys that might not make the final 53 that would save you, a little bit of cap space in there. And then obviously you got the whole thing, what's going to happen with Mason Rudolph and, that $3 million there. But where are you right now? And I went through this last night specifically because I want to pick out a couple of names for you, and they would be, hold on a minute here. Marcus Allen and Miles Boykin. Those are two guys that are $2.54 million salaries that I don't think at this point you could call either of them locked for the roster.
No, I would call them squarely bubble players. I think Boykin entered the summer right on the bubble. I think Allen was more inside looking out, but given his hamstring injury, the good play of guys like Mark Robinson and UG3, and obviously Spillane looks like basically a lock to make the team. Allen better get healthier pretty soon here, whereas in the receiver room, Boykin's been just okay, I guess. Anthony Miller's, I think had a good start to camp and is making a push to try to compete with Boykin for that potential number 6 spot. So let's put it this way. I would expect, as we sit here today, that not both, that, how do I want to phrase this? Don't expect both Boykin and Marcus Allen to be Pittsburgh Steelers week 1. I don't think both of them make it.
I mean, if both of them don't make it, and if you look at projected roster displacement, by somebody climbing up and filling their spot there, I mean, you're talking about saving, if it's an $895,000 player or less, 1.645 almost 1.65 million a piece in cap space there.
Right. I think one of the two will make it. I should rephrase, maybe, but I think maybe both making it is expecting a bit too much. So maybe it's more realistic that one of Boykin and Allen would make it, or neither. I mean, this thing could go either way. But I think they're both right on that bubble right now.
Well, if it's neither, there's $3.2 million worth of cap space for you right there, which puts you obviously right back on the good side of maybe they won't have to restructure a contract there. But they are in the neighborhood right now of, man, you do have to seriously wonder if they might have to restructure Watt's contract to some degree. Now, do I think they have to go out there and free up another $17.2 million, the max that they could do on Watt? No, but you might need about $5 million or so,
Yeah, I'm sure they can go to the bank of TJ Watt if they need to, and they certainly will if they have to.
Yeah, so that's something to maybe keep an eye on here as we inch closer to the preseason.
All right, Dave, anything else you want to talk about? Just mention real quickly, the NFL appears to be intent on appealing the Deshaun Watson 6-game suspension. It will go to a third party. Roger Goodell has the authority to do it himself, but he'll go to a third party, and That's a whole process there. I don't want to get too much in the weeds on that because there is so much uncertainty with that situation. But the NFL is still going to push for that season-long suspension for Deshaun Watson.
Okay, I got an email here from Pastor Joe Green, and it titles Dave Outs Alex. So
Dave outs Alex. You outed me.
I outed you.
Okay, let's find out.
It says, let's see what Joe has to say, Alex. Dave and Alex.
Okay.
After Alex's hot take during the Thursday night review of day 8 of training camp, Alex claims that James Daniels doesn't have the goods to be the starting right guard. LOL. This must be step 1 of Alex's secret plan to move Daniels to center and then Dotson to his college position of right guard, and with Green staying as the starting left guard, his college position. Question for Alex. Does that now make Cole the new swing man in the middle center guard? Come on, Alex, call your shot and point to the fence. LOL. In all seriousness, thank you for all of your tremendous coverage. So I think he's having a little bit of fun with your overreaction that I asked for yet last night.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids and your dog.
Pull your mask off.
Right. Yeah. No, my overreaction.
It's Mr. Smithers.
Oh man. No, I mean, yeah, my overreaction yesterday, which was by the intentionally hot take that I'm asked to give, was that James Daniels has not looked as good as I thought that he would. But I know that's a joke there, and I appreciate the joke. But obviously, Daniels will stay at right guard.
Right. And Pastor Green obviously gets the fun that we're having with that. And for anybody that doesn't, or if you're not listening to the nightly recaps to kind of mix it up this year, I'm asking Alex for, I want Alex to play fanboy. Give me one way overreaction from what he saw that previous day or that specific practice there. It's just something kind of fun to play with there and maybe look back on later. I'll only look back at it if he's wrong. And Alex will only look back at it if he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We should stop doing that. We should maybe go back to winners and losers. Maybe I like that one better.
Let's see here. One more from Jeff Berg talks about quarterbacks' ups and downs. Howdy, fellas. I noticed Alex mentioned that in camp, the quarterbacks have had their ups and downs, and that's all part of training camp. I'm curious if Ben had similar up and down days. If not, then should there be even a bit of concern that we don't have the solid starter rising to the top yet, or is it still way too early? Thanks to the best in the biz, Jeff Berg. Jeff, it's we've said our job, Alex's job is to report what his eyes see out there daily. And in the same breath, we're not making long-term, assumptions or speculations based off of any of this. Look, it's going to be a lot more telling, I think, when you get into some of these preseason games. But even so, you've got, you're probably going to have Kenny Pickett, playing against some guys that might not be in the NFL too much longer. A lot of those guys, at least initially there. So it's important not to overreact. I personally think it's pretty clear at this point, and has been for a while, that barring injury, Kenny Pickett's not going to be the week 1 quarterback. All right. He might not even be the number 2 quarterback. And now I don't, there's obviously still room within that and all, but Alex wasn't at camp back when Ben was coming into the league. So he has no idea if Ben had up and down days. I'm sure he did have up and down days. Obviously, I wasn't there. Going off of reporting is probably not the wise thing to do way back then anyway. But just slow roll this, people. I know everybody wants to know right now, is Kenny Pickett going to be the next guy to be the quarterback in Pittsburgh for the next 15 years? I don't think anybody can answer that question right now. Live in the now. Listen to these reports that come in from Alex daily, and watch the preseason games, and there we go from there. people get way too upset from snap to snap situations here. Look, the good news is Alex is reporting that it was probably his best day at camp.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
And I feel like I can confidently say that because it's not like I've been saying, "Oh, Pickett looks amazing." I guess some people have said Pickett looks amazing. He's had great days, and he's gotten better, but he's had struggles, and that's okay, and that's fair, and that's kind of expected to say. Right. I was not there back in. I might have been there in 2004, but I was getting autographs as a little kid. I wasn't caring about Ben's, how he looked in practice.
You weren't crying, were you?
Whatever helps me get the autographs, whatever. If I got to shame a player into giving me an autograph with my tears, then I'm not above it.
Some of these kids are good, aren't they?
Very good. Oh yeah, you're talking about like whenever like Kenny Pickett was like crying.
Yeah.
I think when Cheaty signed, I think I was probably crying. I mean, that's a big moment there. I remember very excitedly talking about Patrick Bailey, and like I was so excited to get Patrick Bailey, and he looked at me like, "Who is this weird kid?" So those are my idols, Chidi Iwoma and Patrick Bailey. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I love a good special teamer there. He was a Joe Green Rookie of the Year that year in that terrible 2008 class. Anyway, did Ben have?
I think Jeff Berg's title of his email hits it the best. Quarterbacks ups and downs, and that's going to happen during training camp.
Yeah. Did anyone expect Trubisky and Rudolph and Pickett to be either awesome throughout the entire camp or terrible without the entire camp? Most players have ups and downs. James Pierre has ups and downs. Other guys have ups and downs. Quarterbacks are no exception to that. It's just obviously more visible, and there's a lot more riding on it. Did Ben have the ups and downs in later years that I was there? No, not really, but he was Ben, and they are not Ben. Ben is a Hall of Famer, and that was his 15th camp or whatever it was back then. I mean, like, that's old hat to him at that point. So if Kenny Pickett makes it to camp number 15, he probably won't have many ups and downs either. So that probably means he's had one heck of a career. So I don't even try to make the comparison between, a guy like Ben versus a new guy like Pickett or Trubisky or even a more veteran type player like Mason Rudolph.
All right, Alex, I think it's been about an hour here. I've got to get your lunch packed and get the crust cut off your sandwich.
Peanut butter again? Can I get something else?
Get your juice box ready and your orange slices and all like that. I got to get that all packed up before I send you out the door for Friday nights. But look, it ought to be an awesome time out there tonight. I know you're looking forward to it. You're going to have, I think, Dr. Mel's going to be out there. Tim Rice. I think David O is going to be back in town. We're going to have at least 4 people from the depot out there. And because of it being a Friday night lights practice, we're not going to have the follow-up podcast. Look, Alex is going to be hard pressed just to get home to get that diary report of his up and all as well too. So the next recap podcast will be after Saturday's practice. The team is off on Sunday, and then you and I will be back with another regular edition of the Terrible Podcast on Monday morning there. So that's going to be the schedule moving forward there. Have a great night out there, Alex. You can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button. $25, you can have ad-free version of the site moving forward there for a year. So within that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.